Okay, so I've been trying to improve my health over the past couple of years, especially the past 2 years, and I've made several changes, especially to my diet. Of course, exercise is great, and I've been doing a lot of that, but I found major benefits from changing my diet. And this has led me down this path to understand food, what it really is, where it comes from, what ingredients are, and how different foods make me feel. So I'm doing this research, I'm going to record them, I'm going to post them, share them, and share my learnings. The motivation for this work really has been my experience, and there's three broad experiences that I'd like to talk about. The first one is sleep. I was so surprised when I made certain changes to my diet and I was able to get much better quality sleep, but also be able to function with less sleep. The second one was my focus. I was stuck in a cycle where I would be working late, up early, eating high carb foods, high sugar foods, essentially taking energy drinks every day. And I was stuck in the cycle where when I wake up in the morning and throughout the day, I just have to keep on eating these types of high sugar foods and take high caffeinated drinks. And that was the only way I could focus. But when I did change my diet, what I was then able to do was be super focused despite sometimes being short in sleep. And I found that amazing. I found that food was almost a superpower. By changing my diet, I unlocked major productivity. So that's it. It's productivity. And then the third one is physical health. So I had a challenge with my gut. I had a particular problem. Well, it's a chronic issue, so I still have it, and I've become acutely aware of how the type of food and the amount of food and the frequency at which I eat affects my health as well. I feel food is a superpower, and there is so much to gain from understanding food. However, I don't really understand what food labels mean. I've continuously been a sucker to marketing. When I look at a particular product, it might say reduce sugar or whatever else it might say. And for the longest time, I thought that was healthy. And then I started learning a little about looking at the nutritional information. And I thought, oh, okay, cool. Now I'm learning something. But still didn't understand it. And I'm still learning. I looked at the sugar content. I would particularly focus on that. I understand that 4 grams of sugar is about 1 teaspoon of sugar, and perhaps you don't want to exceed that in a meal. Perhaps that's just a rule of thumb. I'm going to go and find the evidence and present the evidence to myself first and record that and post that. But that was the extent of my understanding. And to some degree, that is currently the extent of my understanding. And that's why I need to figure this out for myself. But then as I learn more and more, I realize that just looking at the nutritional information isn't enough. One needs to understand the ingredients. And this has been very powerful for me. So I'll give you an example why. I love biltong. It's great. It's essentially biltong is like beef jerky. It's just dried out meat, super tasty, great for protein. Love it. So I was in a fasted state and I had about 100 grams of biltong. And I just ate it and I loved it and I felt great. And then after that, I actually felt like my glucose had spiked and I felt a little bit lightheaded. And that was so weird because that should not happen. Of course, if you look at the nutritional information, you'll see that there's no sugar. And that got me thinking, like, what is really going on? Then when I looked at the ingredients, you'll see that, of course, most of it was just beef, right? The biltong is just beef. But then what about the flavoring, right? And then when I looked at the flavoring, I saw a whole list of things. Of course, they've got some sugar in there, but then they've got all these other ultra processed stuff. And that is where I starting to get interested in ultra processed foods. So, what is ultra processed food? Well, this is something else that I'm trying to learn about and that I'll document and share. But I understand that ultra processed food also has many problems, and it's not necessarily about the overall macronutrients, but it is also about what the actual ingredients are. And anyway, this is, I guess, something of an origin story as to why I am pursuing this project, why I'm going to continue learning and documenting and sharing this information primarily for myself. And hopefully, if this benefits somebody else, then that will be cool too. But really, it's a personal journey because I've found food to be a super, and by eating better food, by understanding myself better, and there's three things about food. One is the frequency at which I eat food. So that's doing some kind of fasting. Another is what food I eat, and that's really important, the quality of food, and also the amount of food that I eat. I've been able to find so many benefits that I've already spoken about. Perhaps you may join me and watch some of the stuff that I put out. And I hope that this is going to be incredibly beneficial for me and I'm going to be able to hack my life.